tell you what, this is Origin week and we are absolutely pumped. And I can tell you, these two blokes are certainly pumped. And we've had to separate them. We wanted them to be in different houses because we thought if the Maroons and the Blues get together, seriously, anything could happen. But we say a very good evening to Kurt Gidley. Big Gids, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, great, Matty. How are you, mate? Great time of the year, mate.
It certainly is. It's exciting, isn't it? And all thanks to Palmerbet, of course. We are going to have a look at State of Origin. And Benny Hannett, the polar bear or bear, has been kind enough to join us, and a Maroon superstar too. And he was playing it down off air, Gids, wasn't he? You know, just saying he was a little bit player in that, but he was a very, very good rugby league player.
Oh, I don't know, mate. I thought you were giving yourself plenty of raps there before we just pressed record.
Hey, mate, good to see you, boys. Can't wait for Wednesday night. It's going to be a cracker.
It's going to be a beauty, and there's been a lot of build-up, obviously, as there always is with Origin. What do you make of the teams? And I'm just going to run through the New South Wales Origin team, boys. Of course, Tedesco, the captain, Teo, Staggs, Whiten, Tupu, Luai, Cleary, Haas, Cook, Paulo, Murray, Sims, Yo, Crichton. The list goes on. Then we go to the Queenslands. We've got Ponga, of course, Cobbo, Valentine Holmes, Gagai, Coates, Cam Munster, Daly Cherry Evans, who's the skipper, of course, Benny Hunt, Papalai, Cape Walker, Fusu. It is just an absolute list of A-graders. And Bear, I'm going to start with you. What's your thoughts on the Queensland team, mate?
I was really impressed with the team that Billy picked. I thought he did a great job with the players he could have selected from. I'm excited about the debutants coming in as well, but I also like the experience out there and the players at the moment that they picked. Like Big Tino, even though the Gold Coast were terrible last week, Big Tino running nearly 200 metres for a young bloke who's starting to get a bit of leadership. That's going to set him up well for Origin come Wednesday night.
And now, Gids, I'm going to go to you now, mate. What about the Blues? What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, mate, firstly, it's just been a bit fresh in Newcastle. I'm just going to slip a old blazer, mate, that I've just dusted off out of the wardrobe, just to bring a bit of professionalism here, mate.
On the
Don't Argue.
Kids, wouldn't that bring bad luck, mate? Did you ever win a series in that blazer?
I was part of a winning series. I was 18th man back in 2004. Didn't play a game.
The ball boy.
Didn't play a game, actually.
Kids, you know what actually scares me, Bear? It scares me, right? It scares me that
what's that? Is that a goal? Is that a goalkeeper glove?
That's all the points we beat you by. That's 5 in a row. And then when you do all right and you get all the way up to 7 in a row, I've got the scores. I've got all the scores on there, so you can write all the scores we beat you by.
Has it got the New South Wales players who were born in New South Wales on that same trophy?
Look out. I told you I had to separate you two, but do you know what worries me, Bear, is that Gids actually slots into that jacket pretty good, mate. It fits him like a glove.
He hasn't put on any weight, has he? Does your missus not like kids? What's going on?
It looks like Blocker Roach's jacket, mate, with the shoulders on it. But yeah, I can't say I pulled this one out of the wardrobe too many times. But mate, back to your team list, Matty. Before we got sidetracked there, I mean, both teams on paper are impressive, and there's not too much between them, to be honest. Queensland, I think, have got maybe 1 or 2 extra debutants for this game, but you know, all those guys who are debuting deserve to be there. And maybe the New South Wales team, a couple of controversial changes from Freddie, but the guys who have been brought in for Jake Travojevic and who else? Josh Adokar. They're two pretty good replacements. Isaiah Yo and Daniel Tupou. So I think those guys probably deserve their spot, and they bring probably a little bit different styles or attributes to their positions as what the other guys did.
And Gids, you just touched on, there's been a lot of talk over the past week about, no Adokar. Of course, Turbo done the shoulder, massive loss. What's your take? Would you have picked him?
Adokar?
Come on, mate.
Mate, I would have picked him. I would have picked him on, his last couple of years form. I would have picked him, mate. I mean, look at Queensland, mate. Don't they stick loyal? Is that one of their biggest things? They stick loyal with their previous players. So I would have picked him
compared to Cobbo and also Xavier Coates. Like, he's going to get out jumped all day. I thought Freddie made a real wise decision going for the bigger bodies.
Oh, mate, I don't dispute, the bringing Tupu in. I mean, Brian Toto's very small, but he's been picked for his running game and in the media that he picks up. So I think Addo Carr brings different things. He's super quick. He carries out a yard. He's probably our strongest Tupu, and obviously Tupu in the air is a great attacking weapon and a good defensive guy as far as trying to compete with Coates or Cobbo. I think which side is he on, Benny? Who's he up against?
They swapped up sides, I think. So
yeah,
chopping and changing still. We're not going to play
chopping and changing.
You like two little prize fighters, you two blokes.
Early on.
This is good. Just trading punches here. Hey, Bear, I'm going to come back to you. You picked the New South Wales team apart, mate. Where do you reckon the Maroons can tear them apart?
Well, the way I've commentated a lot of the Broncos games, and Kotoni Staggs defensively has made some real poor decisions this year defensively. So if I was Billy Slater, Bill's one that always does his homework. He'll be going over everything. I'd be going down his side. Because all it takes, it's a new combination. He's debuting, so he's going to be, on edge. He's going to be hyped up, full of emotions. And so all it takes is one little brain snap, and there's 4 points scored on you. Queensland shows, and same with New South Wales, if they get good ball sets, normally, most times, I think the percentage is nearly 50% of the time they score when they've got a good ball set attacking the line. So all you need is one or two opportunities. When someone makes a poor decision, they're going to capitalise every time.
Right,
I actually like Tony Staggs as a Newcastle Knights man. He's probably one of my favourite players in an opposition team. I love his aggression. I love his competitiveness. I love his his aggression even when he's carrying the ball. He's probably still pretty raw, and maybe the aggression defensively isn't the right move every time. It's got to be just calculated when you want to be aggressive, but you've also got to make the correct decision defensively. But I do like his aggression and what he's going to bring to that position.
Yeah, beautifully done. Hey, listen, there's a lot of new faces in both teams, boys. In the Queensland side, Bear, you got Selwyn Cobbo, Patrick Carrington, Ruben Cotter, and Jeremiah Nanai. What would be going through their head, mate? It's obviously a different kettle of fish, and it's a different beast, the old Origin week.
There'll definitely be a lot of nerves at the start of camp for them, and obviously the hype and the excitement and the. I don't know about you kids, but I remember the first time I played my first game, you second guess yourself. Am I good enough for this stage? How am I going to go on the night? Am I going to handle the pressure? Please don't stuff up. All those emotions will come in. But one great thing I know about the Queensland camp, and they did it to me when I came in, when I felt those feelings, was the senior players around you stand up. I had Petro Sivanasiva that sat me down day one of the camp and really put my nerves at ease and made me know. And the game plan we came up with was very similar. The job they needed me to do was the same one I did every week for club footy. So when I went out there, the game plan was very simple. I knew I could execute it, and I went out there and did it. I've got no doubt when you got Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, these guys have been a part of history, 8 Origin Series wins in a row. They know what it takes to prepare for a game. And I guarantee these debutants are going to be outstanding come kick-off Wednesday night.
What about the Blues, kids? A couple of debutants, Steve Crichton, Ryan Madison, and you just touched on Kotoni Staggs. How do you reckon they're going to fare, mate? How do you think they're going to handle the big stage?
Yeah, I'm full look. I mean, Stephen Crichton, I don't think he feels nervous. I know it'll be interesting where he comes on the field from his position at club footy. Kotoni Staggs, I've said my little piece in him. I like the way he plays the game. I like his aggression. Just got to keep it controlled at times and make sure he's making the right decisions defensively. So look, they'll be nervous. That's just part of Origin. Even when you come into the first NRL game, you're nervous. You're not quite sure. You got some doubts, but I think you just sort of revert back to what's my role? What's my role, and know your job and do it well. And just simplifying things. Getting to Origin, it's not about trying to come up with the magical play or anything super special. It's about actually knowing your role, doing it well, and just increasing your effort. And if everyone's collectively doing that, you're doing your job. So I think we've seen over the Origin series, it's sometimes it's not about the set play. It's about fighting and scrapping and putting your effort and working really hard. And sometimes, the try isn't off a pretty set play. It's scrappy footy.
What about the game breakers, boys? Cleary, Tedesco, of course, for the Blues. And then you got Cam Munster and Ponga. Tell you what, there's some stars going to be running around out there on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think
Queensland. You go, Benny.
I think for Queensland, definitely Munster is the man I'll be watching. And also Ponga, a bit nervous of how Ponga's going to go. Actually, he thrives in open play and when he's got time and less aggressive defensive line. But I know how strong New South Wales are. Every time he catches the ball, they're going to be hitting him. And I just would love to see him stand up at this stage at Origin. He can do it, definitely can do it. He's one of the most talented players I've ever played with and watched. His footwork, his ball skills are outstanding. But I'd love to see him muscle up. And Tedesco has been outstanding at Origin level, constantly at the back, putting his body on the line in really vulnerable positions. If Pong can do that as well, Queensland are going to be a really good chance of getting on their way to win this one.
Yeah, it's an exciting matchup, the fullbacks, that's for sure. I think they're slightly different players, to be honest. Like Kalen's probably more dynamic and speed off the mark and footwork. And Tedesco, mate, his work rate is just through the roof every game. He gets a touch in every set of the game, if not two. Super strong through the hips, and his footwork's almost like a gridiron player over in the States. He's super quick with his footwork and strong through those tackles, and he's able to break them. One thing I've admired about Kalen since he's come to the Knights is his toughness, and he really does. He puts his body on the line, especially defensively. He doesn't always get the tackle right, but he does put his body on the line, and we've seen that since he's played for Queensland. I think only for a couple of series now. He finds some space, and he's a real danger player. And I think he'll be looking for a big game. He's playing with the best players in the game, and they'll get the ball to him in the right spaces and at the right time. So he's a big danger for New South Wales.
It's a big stage, isn't it? This is the Don't Argue Origin edition, all thanks to Palmerbet. We got the big bear, Benny Hannant, and of course, Kurt Gidley, a couple of Origin superstars in their own right. Hey, what about Billy Slater? First-time coach, at an Origin level, straight into the hot seat. What's your thoughts, Benny? Any reservations there? I love him. I'm a Melbourne Storm madman down here, Benny, and to be honest, I reckon he's an absolute beauty, and I reckon he's handled himself really, really well leading up to this Origin.
Matty, zero reservations with him, mate. I am so impressed with him. What he did as a player, playing alongside him, his leadership, his effort. There's no one in the game. He changed the role of the fullback, I believe, Billy Slater. The way that he moved his work off the ball, work on the ball. No one worked harder than him, and he's got that same attitude with his coaching. I think he's really going to bring a great game plan. He knows Origin so well. When we played Origin, when Mal Meninga was the coach, Mal was the man manager, but he'd sit in the room first day on camp with Cam Smith, Billy Slater, Jonathan Thurston, and they would come up with the game plan of how we're going to beat New South Wales.
That's unreal.
This is no different for Billy Slater. He's been in this position before. He goes over tape, he does his homework, and I'm so excited to see what he can do because he's an incredible player. I think he could be even better coach.
What do you reckon, Gids?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I only played against Billy in the Australian team, and he's obviously super smart. He knows the game. He reads the game, unbelievably as a fullback, super talented as a player, obviously. And, he was tough and brave defensively, putting his body on the line. So, but this is not uncommon, mate, to go with a coach who doesn't have the greatest or the most experience from NRL point of view. As Benny said, it's about being the man manager and inspiring your state and your players underneath you. So we've seen it with Freddie. Obviously, he had a small NRL career at the Roosters. Laurie Daly came in, and it's those. I think those even Mal, of course. But mate, this role as head coach of Origin is about inspiring the players, getting a game plan in place that they believe in, and building a strong culture. And that's what it's about, and that's what Freddie's done over the last few years, certainly with Bedsy as well, and Craig Fitzgibbon, who isn't there this year, Fitzy, and Laurie Daly done it before, and Mal Meninga done it before those guys. So I think it's a pretty smart appointment from Queensland, and I think Billy surrounded himself obviously with some other former players, and who will have a huge influence on this squad.
Well, boys, let's have a look at the odds. All thanks to Palmerbet, of course. Game number 1 in New South Wales on Wednesday night. And, the Blues are $1.60 head-to-head. Queensland, $2.35. Now, I have to say, they were $3.10 at the start of last week. So there's been plenty of support for the Queenslanders. At the line, New South Wales, -3.5, $1.90, plus 3.5 for Queensland, $1.90. That was plus 8.5. So been really good support for the Queenslanders here, or the Maroons. The total points under 36.5, $1.90, over 36.5, $1.90, and the margin 1 to 12, $2.85. That's New South Wales. New South Wales 13 plus at $3.60. Queensland 1 to 12, $3.40. Queensland 13 plus $5.90. How do you see the market, Bear? What do you reckon? Are the Queenslanders overs, or what are your thoughts?
I think it's where it should be. It's extremely hard to win in New South Wales. Even when I was a part of the Origin series where we went 8 in a row, whenever we played in Sydney, that was always the hardest game. Winning in Sydney is a huge feat. I know every time we did it, we only did it a couple of times when we won in Sydney. But after that, we really celebrated. We knew that was a massive win. It's a massive advantage playing at home. So the odds for me that I'll be licking my lips for is Queensland 1 to 12. They're great odds. And that's where I see this game. It's going to be a tight one. It's so hard to win in New South Wales, especially in front of so many New South Welshmen. That to me is the bet I'll be looking at.
Yeah, $3.40, nice little price, all thanks to Palmer Bet. What about you, Gids? Are they short, the New South Wales boys, or should they be tighter?
I mean, the Queenslanders haven't been in New South Wales for, a couple of years or 2 or 3 years? I don't know, mate. I know we played. We definitely.
It's hard. I admit it's hard, Gids.
We definitely played all 3 of them up there last year. But, yeah, look, mate, I can tell you the New South Wales fans will be, mate, absolutely chomping at the bit to get to this game, especially the Blatchies Blues, which are, they've all got the blue wigs on in the behind the posts. There's tens of thousands of those there. So I think New South Wales is absolutely stinging for a game in our own backyard. Even last year there was a slight chance there was going to be one in Newcastle, and then that was when New South Wales she's all kicked off, mate, COVID again, and it got taken up to Townsville. So yeah, look, it is a big advantage, but you want to take advantage of it this first game. We don't want to get off to 0-1 in Sydney, that's for sure. So yeah. You still got to play, mate. You still got to, even if it's advantage, you still got to play to your game plan and making sure everyone's busting their backsides, and it's everyone's got to be on their game.
Let's have a look at the first try scorer market too, boys. Brian To'o, he's at $9.25. Selwyn Cobbo at $11. James Tedesco at $12.50, and Jackie White at $13 for the Blues. Daniel Tupou at $9.75. Xavier Coates at $11. Katoni Staggs at $13, and Kalen Ponga at $16. That is first try scorer. Which way are you going here, Bear?
Mate, licking my lips at Xavier Coates, $11. Yes, please. Mate, I can see them kicking to him constantly. He's got speed like that. Okay, he's one of the fastest in the NRL. His power game's outstanding. You get him one-on-one out wide, which is where it will be. You're not going to get players missing tackles. It'll be the overlap out wide. I think a winger's going to score first try. But Xavier Coates for me for Queensland, I'm tipping $11. I'll take that any day of the week.
Kids, which way you go, mate?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's going to be a big ploy as far as crossfield kicks, and especially probably on Toho's head. So that's definitely a danger from New South Wales' point of view. I mean, the Smokies, the debutants as wingers, seem to always find a way to the line, and I'm concerned about Selwyn Cobbo, the form he's come into this Origin series off the back of the start of the year, and he's had a great start. But yeah, look, mate, Tedesco, Daniel Tupou, Tupes is he's great in the air. He seems to be able to pluck them out one-handed, two-handed, and still find a way to their line as they're falling down. I mean, what the wingers can do these days, whether it's catching pills in the air from crossfield kicks or diving with most of their body out and halfway into the grandstand and still find a way to the line. I mean, I struggle to hold the ball in 2 hands, let alone 1 hand like those guys do these days. So, mate, I'm gonna back Tupes for first try scorer.
Love it. Absolutely love it, boys. Hey, listen, I want to delve into, I suppose, a little bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes. You boys both played, high-level football at its best. You played Origin. Bear, I'm going to come to you first, big fella. Tell us about what it was like to receive the phone call that you were going to be pulling on that maroon jersey.
Well, mate, I'm going to take you before I even got the phone call. We're playing Manly up at Suncorp Stadium for the Broncos. 2008 it was. And I ran at their back row, the big blonde back row. I can't remember his name. But we had a head clash. I ended up splitting my lip completely right through. I had to get 34 stitches in my lip.
Wow.
Completely split it. And so I got a bit of plastic surgery straight away that night. And then later that night, I got a phone call from Mal Meninga. And he rang me up concerned, said, look, mate, this phone call's two reasons. One, we'd like to pick you for Origin, but two, are you even going to be able to play with that lip? We just need to make sure you get a medical clearance. I don't want to go too early. So on the phone to Mal the whole time, I was like, Matt, trust me, I'll be fine. I'll be sweet. No way. I don't care if I split my lip in half. Any opportunity I could to put on that Queensland Maroon jersey, I was taking it. So I got into camp and the doctor had a look at me. He was arm and an arm. I'm like, mate, you can't take away my Origin debut. No way. Like, surely, I don't care what it is. But they try to make me train with a boxing headgear with the bar across the front.
Oh, no.
I was like, there's no way I'm wearing it. Mal one time made me wear it, but there's more just to take the piss out of me. But the whole time I was in camp, Origin time, it's very serious. But when you're away from the footy and the training and the meetings, it's all about having fun. And Queensland, we got the best blokes. We've got Alfie, we've got Kevy Walters, Steve Walters there. And so it's constantly jokes and ribbing on each other. So every time I laugh with 34 stitches down the front here, my first Origin camp, every time I smiled, my stitches would split and I'd bleed everywhere. And so once Alf got word of that and could see that, and the boys, they just kept doing it. So every time I got on the bus, I'd have to hold it, trying not to laugh, because I kept splitting my stitches up, because it's just such a great time in Origin camp. It was an incredible first experience. Unfortunately, I lost my first Origin game. It was down in Sydney, but luckily went on to win the next two. But yeah, unreal. I can still remember it. Incredible camp.
Story. Yeah, that is a great story, mate. And just to hear you say, you were not going to let them take your Origin debut away from you. You were going to do everything to get out of the park. Gids, what about you, mate? Take us back to the phone call for yourself and what it was like walking into to that camp for the first time.
Yeah, my first little taste of it, Matty, which, as I said at the start, it was 18 men in 2004. So I was only young, but Phil Gould was coaching at the time, and just to get a little taste of it at that stage, to be around the camp and in the camp in 2004 with blokes like Minicello and Mace and Mark Gasnier and Andrew Ryan. So it was a super team, a great experience just to be part of it. So it really sort of, I guess, give me the inspiration to work, even harder, over the next few years to make sure I cemented a spot in 2007 under Graham Murray. But even in that 2004 series, Sean Simmons kicks a field goal in the first game right at the end on the buzzer. So I guess, that motivated me to make sure I went back to club footy, worked really hard and got there in 2007. Had some great experiences, as Benny said, some great experiences, training-wise, training with some of the best players in the competition and guys who you'd looked up to, and just how intense those training sessions were, the video sessions, the nerves leading up to it, the atmosphere when you ran out for the first time. And as Benny said, the times you spent away from the game, super, super fun, enjoyable, and made some great feeds out, so a good couple of bonding sessions in those days on the first night into camp, which is always pretty fun and pretty good. Broke down some barriers from guys who you hadn't met before, and some great memories.
Hey, you two boys have actually played together, haven't you, on a national level?
Yeah, we would have played test footy, wouldn't we?
Australian team. We did Australia. We were in Australia together, yep.
Where was that tour, boys? Was it in Australia or was it overseas? Or
were you on the 09 tour, Four Nations over in England?
09 Four Nations, yep.
Yeah, we were together on that one.
Obviously pretty tight, you two.
Oh, mate, it's too long ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the tours I was on, but as far as I remember, everyone who was in every camp, we're talking bloody over 10 years ago now, 15 years ago. But mate, that was actually a great tour. It was 09, around England, France as well, and then we played at Ellen Road and beat England at Ellen Road, I think it was, to win the Four Nations.
It was incredible, the different build-up for Australia that it was for playing Origin. Origin's so intense, and it's so... I remember going to the sheds playing for Australia. My first debut game for Australia was just like playing park footy at home. Like, it wasn't even like playing an NRL game. You're in England, your boys we're just cruising, chatting, laughing, put your boots on, go out, warm up, it's freezing, go out and play a game. Just the different atmosphere and the different build-up for me was a big eye-opener for me. But the best things I can remember for playing for Australia with kids is the stories with the boys. When you spend 8 weeks with each other over in England and France,
brilliant.
The shenanigans you get up to, the friendships you make, and then you go out there and play some great footy. Like, when you're in those sort of teams, everyone knows how to play footy. You don't have to teach them anything. It's just coming together. So we build combinations and trust with one another, and then you go out and deliver on the day. So it's awesome. Those my biggest memories for playing for Australia and even for Queensland is more the memories of the bonding sessions and nights out with each other.
And the mates and the friendship that you build. That's what it's all about, isn't it? At the end of the day. And that's what you look back on now, isn't it, boys? You know, all those friendships and your memories, and it's brilliant. Hey, listen, before we go, I want to get your bet. Gids, what are you doing, mate? I want a super duper State of Origin special multi, mate. What do you got for us?
Mate, I haven't focused on him. Well, I can focus on a multi. I've tipped Toops as first try scorer, and I'm going to go New South Wales to win, of course. I think Nathan Cleary, any tries we score, he's one of the best goal kickers in the competition. I can't really see a noted goal kicker in the Queensland team. I know Kalen kicks, but Munster's had a kick, but I wouldn't be throwing him into that position. I don't know if there's a noted.
That's my worry. Is exactly that. Is in those situations, Origins, there's not many points, especially in those close ones. No. 2 points make a big difference. So you want someone that can stand up and deliver.
Yeah. So anyway, Matty, my multi, Tupu and New South Wales to win, mate. I'm going to go 24-14.
Right, so a comfortable win by 10 for the Blues for Kurt Gidley. I'm going to throw back to you, Bert. This is where you can unload, mate. What do you got for us all? Thanks to Palmerbet, big fella.
I'll give you a multi that's going to pay up. Queensland, 1 to 12. What's that? $3.40.
$3.40.
$3.40. We'll take that. Then we're going to go Xavier Coates, score first try. But I'm actually going to get him to do a double. I reckon he's going to score a double.
Score 2.
On that edge. Yep, got him a double.
Gee whiz.
And if you're going to chuck one more in, I'm going to go Cobbo score, anytime try score as well.
Gee whiz, I reckon we're going to be talking 100 to 1 or something here.
Well, 3 tries on the wings. Queensland will get 3 tries down in New South Wales. I'll give you a tip. It'll be 3 tries at least, and it will be, I think it's going to be out wide. So 2 big bodies jumping in good form. I'm going that.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow both of you blokes in, and then when we do this show for the next Origin, one of you is going to get the gum boot. They're going to be out, and that's where it's going to sit, to be honest, boys. But hey, listen, I've absolutely loved the banter. Lovely to meet you, Bear. Obviously watched a lot of you over the journey and that, mate. Gids, same with you, big fella, as always. Have you been watching the Don't Argue, Bear? Has that been on the viewing list each and every week?
Of course he has.
I love it. It's my favourite show. It's the best show getting around. If you haven't seen it, make sure you get it, YouTube it, get it on your podcast, wherever you get it. Make sure you watch it.
Download
it. I love it, boys. Hey, listen, it is going to be a wonderful Game 1, State of Origin, Wednesday night. All thanks to Palmerbet, boys. Good luck. May the best team win.
Go the Blues.
Thanks, Matty. Go Queensland.